Alright guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to another video on how to handstand. This is going to be episode 3 and today we are going to be discussing the anterior pelvic tilt. More so how to get rid of it and how we can get a better looking handstand. Many of you may not be familiar with the terminology anterior pelvic tilt, so I'm just going to describe it briefly. Anterior pelvic tilt in the handstand specifically is when you have that weird back arching banana back looking handstand. Nobody wants that. Everyone wants to achieve that straight line to try and make the handstand look as pretty as possible. So we're gonna learn how to get rid of that bad arch in the back, focusing just on the pelvis today. Okay, you can look at the shoulder mobility side of it as well, but that's going to be in the next video inshallah. So today I just want to focus on how to fix our pelvis position, so how to go from our anterior pelvic tilt to our posterior pelvic tilt. I'm just going to throw an image on screen right now of me in a handstand with an anterior pelvic tilt and in a posterior pelvic tilt. So I just wanted to show you guys the two differences. So an anterior pelvic tilt is going to be me with a really bad arch in the back. The handstand doesn't look very pretty, the straight line just is not there. And me with a posterior pelvic tilt, I'm more in a straight line position. This is going to help me hold the handstand a lot easier. It won't put that much burden on my lower back as well. So all in all, it's a win, right? Everyone's going to see the picture on Instagram and they're going to be like, wow, this is a great looking handstand. That's what everyone wants. Right now I just want to show you guys standing up exactly what the anterior pelvic tilt will look like. So if I'm just standing up, you may have seen this in some people, they stick their ass out like this. So this is usually because they have weak hamstring muscles, weak core muscles, or really tight quads or tight hip flexors. Okay, so we're going to try and address all these issues one by one. So this is an anterior pelvic tilt. What we want is for our hips to tuck underneath our pelvis. So basically just rotating like this, okay? So rotating inwards. So you're trying to actively flex your core and use those core muscles to get your hips underneath your pelvis. And you're trying to use your glutes as well to push through, right? So we're just there. Now I'm flexing my core muscles, I'm using them, and I have my glutes activated as well. So just going from this position to here. The exercise that I'm going to teach you guys today, we're going to focus on stretching our tight quad muscles and our tight hip flexors alongside strengthening our core muscles and our glutes and our hamstrings as well. So the first stretch that I'm going to show you guys is for our quads. So what we're going to do is just grab a bench or any elevated surface. From there, we're going to put one foot on the bench. So one foot on the bench, the other foot is going to be on the floor, and we're going to lunge down. From here, we want to make sure again that we're not in anterior pelvic tilt, so no arching the back. We want to be in a neutral position and just lean forward and feel that stretch in your hip flexors and your quads. What that look like, again, no arching the back. Keep yourselves in a neutral position. Feel that stretch in your quads and your hip flexors. Just lean forward ever so slightly and just feel it opening up. To make this a bit more challenging, you can even just lean over to the side. That'll give you a bit more of a stretch. So you can just put your hand up and lean over to the opposite side. So that's one stretch that can really help fix the tightness in your quads and your hip flexors. The next exercise that we have is the hip thrust. We are trying to strengthen our glutes here, really focusing on squeezing our glutes at the top range and making sure that we are thrusting through our hips as much as possible. You can do this body weight only. You can do this with some weight as well. For now, for all intents and purposes, I feel like you guys should start just body weight and really get a feel for the movement and make sure that you are in a posterior or neutral pelvis position throughout. What I'm showing you on screen right now is the position you don't want to be in. versus the position you do want to be in throughout the entire movement. You want to make sure that your core is engaged. Next exercise you really want to focus on is the hollow body. This is really going to make you understand how to keep your back flat and how to make sure that your pelvis is tilting posteriorly and not going into that bad back arch anterior pelvic tilt. So what you're going to do is, obviously you can do this on the floor, I'm just doing it on the bench for demonstrative purposes. So you're going to have yourself lie down flat on the bench. Now notice my lower back over here. This is with an arch, so I'm anteriorly pelvic tilted. I'm not using my hip flexors, I'm not using my glutes, I'm not using my core at all. Okay, this is the position you don't want to be in. The position you do want to be in is flexing your core and making sure that that back is completely flat on the bench. So there's no gap in between your back and the bench or the floor. Okay? So this position you don't want to be in. This position is the one you want to be in. So I'm engaging my glutes, I'm using my core, I'm firing it up, okay? And my legs are out wide. Now you can start progressing this into a harder version by just letting your feet out. Again, my lower back is not being compromised. And you can just hold this. Make it harder if you want to by putting your hands all the way back. So if you are a complete beginner and this is very hard for you, just start off by having your knees tucked close into your chest like I was doing in the first 5 seconds of that section. Then you can start letting your leverage out. So once you start increasing that leverage, that's where your abs have to do the most work, right? So once you start letting your feet out more and more, your abs are having to do more work and it becomes progressively harder. You don't want to start off by doing that immediately unless you are fairly experienced in training. If you are a complete beginner, then I wouldn't suggest that. Start off by getting comfortable in that position, understanding how to engage your core, how to make sure that you're always in that posterior pelvic tilt, and then you can eventually move on to having your legs out completely and your back, your hands can come out all the way to the back to make it even harder. I'd suggest to start doing this routine at least 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can do this routine when you wake up or right before you go to bed. Probably the best times to do it. Literally just the 3 exercises that I showed you, do them 3 sets each. That's it. The hollow bodies you can start off by trying to go for 30 to 60 seconds of a hold for each set. The hip thrusts you can try to do for about 15 to 30 reps as well. Since it's not a very strenuous exercise, because we're not doing it with much load, it's fine to go a bit higher rep, okay? And the quad stretch and the hip flexor stretch that I showed you, you can do that as well, let's say for about 30 to 60 seconds again, depending on how you feel. Obviously you don't want to overstretch it. Overstretching is a sensitive topic, so please try to not like just push your limits completely on the first attempt. Try to slowly build yourself up and then take it from there. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this one was informative. I think this is the most informative of the 3 videos that I've put out so far on the How to Handstand series. And please do like, share, subscribe with anyone who would like to learn how to get rid of that anterior pelvic tilt. Thank you and see you next time.